Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the showdown between the Empire led by Pimp Daddy Gelt and the Dwarves who are going to be led by Ungrim Ironfist. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So guys, we are back at it again with the dreaded double steam tank build. So something I actually learned in the army selection screen is that you can only bring 2 steam tanks on ladder. So I know there was someone on the last stream that I promised a couple steam tanks to, but alas, I'm limited to 2. But I actually think that's a good thing because they're one of those units that if someone wanted to like draw a kite and be super annoying, they're really abusive in that respect. So I definitely think that's a good thing. But all jokes aside, the meme tank does have pretty good armor piercing values in both its ranged as well as melee attacks. So yes, I'm bringing it as a bit of a joke, but at least it does have some purpose against the dwarves. It has AP missiles to shoot down thunders, and if it does get caught in melee, at least it can do some decent armor piercing damage. So we do have one on the low ground, one on the high ground. On top of that, we do have the double witch hunter, and these guys are MVPs against dwarves. Their armor piercing, I guess flintlock pistols, do huge damage against the Dawi. So they can like pierce through iron breakers. Accusation actually does a ton of damage against single targets. This one witch hunter here just going to get attacked with cannonballs in the head. It'll be okay. Just a cannonball to the skull, no problem. But regardless, the Witch Hunter is very good against the Dwarves. Accusation is very good at sniping out runesmiths and, Ungrim. And you can even use it against like Ironbreakers and things like that. And it does some pretty good work. So if you were bringing a regular build against the Dwarves, in a ladder or tournament, I would definitely think the double Witch Hunter plus Gelt would actually probably be the way to go. Balthazar Gelt up here with the Staff of Valance. He does also have the Final Transmutation. Just going to be trying to take out runesmiths and heroic units. I know that's not like the most fun thing to watch, but in this particular match with using the double steam tanks, I kind of have to pull out like some heavy guns here in regards to my hero. So on top of that, we do have the silver bullets on the low ground. I believe we have the Sterling's Revenge somewhere. They're actually Vanguard deployed over here. So yeah, they're going to be over here. We got 2 spearmen in the back, and that's pretty much it for our infantry. We have a couple Cav, Reichsguard here, and Reichsguard here. So I'm hoping that the steam tanks and some harassment can pull the dwarves out, because most dwarf players against the Empire are just going to kind of sit with artillery and just kind of a turtle, and it's already a pretty hard matchup for the Empire as is, so I need to bring, pretty much everything I can to try and force them out. So the Reichsguard hopefully will do well. My opponent does have triple cannons. That's going to be really tough for the steam tanks. They're probably going to get picked apart relatively well. So as far as his army goes, front line just going to be the Ironbreakers and Dwarf Warriors. He does have 2 Iron Drakes as well. Slayers, a secondary firing line of Thunders, 3 cannons, Ungrim, and on the flanks it's Dwarf Warriors as well. So guys, without further ado, let's get the show on the road. So this one meme tank is going to be driving up to the crest right here. He actually has a really good line of sight, and it's going to be tough for the cannons to return fire. I mean, some of them might hit the tree, so I was happy about that. Balthazar Gelt is going to be popping the Staff of Valance right here, as well as his Arcane Conduit, trying to get that first Final Transmutation off. I have to be careful, though, because he does have a lot of Thunders, and you can see the first steam tank shot is off, and is it going to be a hit? Looks like it's maybe actually takes out 3 Slayers there, so definitely not bad. My other meme tank, unfortunately, deployed in a little bit of a more dangerous position. I should have put it up on the lip up there, but at this point I'm like, you know what, I'm going to just go full-on blitzkrieg here with the meme tank. I'm going to charge it across the battlefield, see if I can get into the forest and maybe waste some of his ammo, because his cannons are just destroying my steam tank. Just all these direct hits. The Dawi engineers definitely fine-tuning their calibrations here, and this steam tank's already down to half health, so very rough stuff there. Balthazar Gelt, in the meantime, is going to be circling around the Dawi army, but the Thunderers are pretty much on the hunt. So my opponent aware of Balthazar Gelt's schemes, and he's going to be able to shoot the Gelt man out of the sky relatively easily. I mean, not kill him, but at least force him back. So I'm continuing to run. The other steam tank on the high ground is just kind of perched in the trees there, and my opponent's having a little bit of trouble hitting that one. The shots he's taken have bounced off the crest or hit the tree line, so definitely happy about that. But the other steam tank is just in dire straits. He has too many tools against it. I probably should have ran it backwards if I were like, really being careful and tactical. Go like up here, hide behind this like building here, and oh look, that actually has, oh that's cool, that arrow tower has like integrity? Is that something that's interactive? Anyways, the Witch Hunters are going to run forward. I'm going to get an accusation on Ungrim, taking a few pot shots, just kind of feeling my opponent out. Over here, these Thunders do get a pretty good shot on Balthazar. I'm trying to get up and around his formation here. So the first accusation does go down, getting some Witch Hunter pot shots, but I'm taking massive return fire. So even though I'm able to like poke Ungrim, I'm taking a lot in return. But Balthazar Gelt's going to be overcasting a Final Transmutation here on Ungrim. And if my opponent did advance, I would probably only be able to get 1 Final Transmutation off. But considering he's kind of turtling, like he's kind of just like asking for this here. So the Final Transmutation going down, doing a bunch of HP damage. Ungrim is pretty much already at like 40% HP. We do catch the Thunders as well as Ironbreakers, but they don't take the most damage, but nonetheless still pretty good. So he pushes up his Iron Drakes to kind of fend me off, and I'm like, I do not want any of that. I'm going to be falling back. You can see I have positioned the silver bullets over here as well. This meme tank up in the valley, and this one in the forest, I'm like just trying to get it out of my opponent's line of sight, but alas, this meme tank actually falls. So a little bit of poor play there. I probably should have just sat and like shot at my opponent and just like conceded that it was going to fall. Regardless, this battle is far from over. The Sterling's Revenge are here in the forest. just waiting for an opportunity to strike. So just kind of positioning, just getting the pincer ready to collapse in my opponent's formation. The meme tank up in the valley here, continuing to shoot into the thunders and getting some really, really good value. Balthazar, though, is beat up. I mean, he's been taking cannon shots and thunders, and you can see my other group of Reichsguard swooping around, and my spearmen in the meantime are being left in the back. So the other Witch Hunter is going to be coming to get another accusation right here, so I'm going to be using that on Ungrim, but every time I come in, he's giving it back to me. You can see that his Iron Drakes actually roll up as well, but the accusation does get off, and then I actually move over my my Silver Bullet, so they're able to kind of get on the perch here, and they have a pretty good line of sight, so they're going to kind of set sights here on the Dwarves. I get some really good shots on the Thunders before having to pull back, and this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to pull them apart, force the Dawi out of formation, and then the Reichsguard are going to come rushing down the hill here to potentially catch these guys out. In the back, I do a bit of an ambush, so the Sterling's Revenge just like running out of the tree line, taking some shots, running back into the tree line. Very, very fun stuff with those guys. The Reichsguard did come in, and I got a really nice charge on the Thunders. You can see these Dwarves, for no particular reason, are just roasting their fellow Dwarf Warriors. I mean, there's a couple Reichsguard in there. But I did get a decent charge. I didn't get to show you guys, but it definitely wasn't worth it. I just took like 3 or 4 Thunders to the face. All of his cannons switched, and at this point, the Sterling's Revenge are going to have to run, as they're going to be taking Overwatch from the Thunders here. In the meantime, my Reichsguard are going to be rushing down the hill here. So the Antlers Reichsguard is going to be getting a full charge right into these Iron Drakes, just going to be doing huge damage. And then I just pushed straight through. So I was just like spam clicking. I'm like, get on those Thunders. That's a 2-for-1. We're going to shut down 2 missile units and blasting charges coming in from those Iron Breakers there. But I do have that Overwatch fire coming back in. So I did pull back these Silver Bullets to kind of get them hidden again. I'll make sure the cannons couldn't shoot them. But yeah, this is huge. We're getting these Iron Drakes down. We are wasting their blasting charges as well. Blasting charges will not do much against the heavy armor of the Reichsguard. We have 120. But nonetheless, I mean, it's still adding up, doing some pretty decent work. We do break off the Thunders, which is probably the most important thing here. On the far side, the what's it called? The Sterling's Revenge actually took a ton of damage on their retreat. My Reichsguard do rally, which is pretty cool. But yeah, my opponent has a massive bounce of power advantage. I mean, these trades are going well for me, but I'm still taking some pretty decent casualties. Ungrim Iron Fist has been sitting here with 10 HP. My steam tank has just been shooting it. Is this going to be the shot? And it comes in and it hits Ungrim. There's no way he's going to survive that. So the meme tank is able to slay the Slayer King, but it is very low itself, 317 HP. And things are looking pretty wild. So in a moment, I will be pulling up my spearmen with shields. They'll be coming back, just kind of setting up ambushes, trying to harass wherever I can. As my opponent advances, I'm kind of using this line of sight blocker here to run up and down, get cover. The Witch Hunters are coming in. See, these Dwarf Warriors are kind of being picked apart by some of this withering fire from the Silver Bullets. That stock, definitely a lifesaver. But the cannons are now shooting at the Silver Bullets, which is a little bit scary. He's running low on ammo, though. He did have to use a lot to shoot the meme tanks. Although this one cannon crew still has a fair amount of ammo, but it only has 2 cannons left, so there's some give and take there. So my other Reichsguard coming in, these Antlers Reichsguard pressuring yet again, but the Thunders there, I did see them, so I was like, I'm not going to kind of mess with that. The Sterling's Revenge are now going to be collapsing in, trying to get some free shots here on the Thunders, because I knew his focal point was going to be on these guys. And, you know, there's a shot right there. So I get a couple of kills against those Thunders, which is going to be nice, but he is going to fend me off with the Dwarf Warriors. But this is good. I kind of want to pull them away from the main army so I can slip in the Reichsguard in the back. That's what she said. And these Reichsguard are now going to be going after the cannon. So you can see there's 2 unprotected cannons. He does have Thunders. The Silver Bullets are getting some really good crossfire. Balthazar Gelt preparing for another final transmutation, if I'm not mistaken. So here comes the charge of the Reichsguard. They're going to get a huge charge into the cannons, and they're just going to lance down this cannon crew. So it's not going to do like devastating damage. And this is basically a Last Samurai charge. They definitely know they're not coming home from this one, but nonetheless, we're able to shut down the cannons temporarily, which is going to buy time for the Silver Bullets, who are picking apart the Thunders. And I do have that kind of tree line there, which is helping a little bit, but also limiting my fire. So the Reichsguard sweeping up and around. Final transmutation is going to be going down here from Balthazar, and this is going to be hitting the Thunders here. So the Thunders are pretty much the biggest threat in the battlefield. Without them, I have pretty, relative impunity with my cav. I can kind of hide from the cannons. I can then shoot with the Silver Bullets in my Sterling's Revenge, who are actually about to have an old-fashioned shootout here with the Dwarves. So the Dwarves do have their shields up, which is unfortunate. 58 models against 36 of the Dawi, but the Thunders definitely are going to be able to out-trade here probably. Although 2,300 HP compared to 23, yeah, so the Thunder's definitely going to be able to out-trade. You can see my Free Company Militia. It's like that scene in The Patriot when they're like, the first battle between the Royal Army and the Patriots people. And they're kind of getting routed off there. But regardless, we're getting some good shots against the Thunders here. You can see the Silver Bullets having 50 models, and we're getting a little bit of crossfire. The other group of Thunder is very, very beat up. These Reichsguard actually, I think, do rally again. So these guys just not going quietly here. The Silver Bullets getting some really good shots over here into the Thunders. They have about 1,000 HP to my 2,900, so I should win that exchange. My opponent playing very defensively, sitting on his cannons with the Slayers, making sure I don't get into that cookie jar. And now the time has come to move forward the infantry. So I figure he's going to have to push me here and come after me. Both of these forces are wavering. Balthazar Gelt trying to get one more final transmutation off. I do come in with the Witch Hunter and get an accusation, so I accuse those Dwarves of heresy. And yeah, the Slayers do rush forward to kind of fend me off, but we're slowly starting to pick his army apart. The bounce power coming into my favor a little bit, but it's still going to be really tough to take out like a full group of Slayers. But basically, we just use all the remaining ammunition on the Silver Bullets to take out the Slayers. The Witch Hunter's rushing forward. This one, Witch Hunter's so low. 307 HP, just absolute brutality, so we're just kind of picking on these guys. Now you can see the Dwarven army starting to look a little bit tattered. The Iron Drakes can't really get into range to be terribly effective. We do get the Spearmen with shields to fight these Dwarf Warriors, and we park the Sterling's Revenge behind them, so they're just taking some pot shots here, and this other group of Spearmen with shields is going to be rushing at these guys. So you can see he detaches some Dwarf Warriors, but in the meantime, these Slayers just taking a beating from the accusation, and I do get a full charge with the Reichsguard coming in, just lancing down these Slayers who are actually facing the wrong way, but it doesn't matter because they don't have charge defense anyways. But we get in there, we get a huge charge on those guys, and we're going to be pulling back immediately as the Iron Drakes do turn about face, get some decent shots here on my Reichsguard, so I do not want to stay and fight. But the Slayers only have 10 models. They're pretty much out of the picture, and he's just trying to roast my Reichsguard with those flamethrowers. But I'm just force pathing these Spearmen, just like going after the Thunders, no mercy. I need to shut those guys down. So bounce power is now evening out a little bit, coming into my favor, but he still has these Iron Breakers left. So the Iron Breakers, in pretty good shape. But the meme tank coming back from over the hill, just like Gandalf in the Two Towers, is now going to be sitting here. Now that his cannons are offline, his range capability is gone. It's going to be providing some heavy armor-piercing overwatch to this crew here. You can also see the Witch Hunters have a fair amount of ammunition. The Silver Bullets have just run out. And over here, these Spearmen just causing absolute havoc. The Dwarf Warriors are chasing them, but I'm force pathing them after the artillery, just shutting down the cannon crews. These guys are definitely paying their dues. Over here, the Dwarf Warriors are actually losing to my Spearmen with shields because the Sterling's Revenge have just parked behind them. They're just taking pot shots, so finally I was able to pull those Dwarves out of their nest and take them down a little bit over there. But these Spearmen continuing to shut down the cannons. They're also fighting off the Dwarves. That high melee defense of 45 really paying for itself here. And the Reichsguard basically just cycle charging the Slayers. So yes, Slayers are good against Cav, but like if you can catch them unbraced in the open like this, and you can just like ride them down, it's absolute brutality. So the Reichsguard going to be rushing through onto the last of these Dwarf forces, which are looking so thin. This one cannon shooting here, the double Witch Hunters with their armor-piercing shots just picking these guys apart. Now the Reichsguard are going to ride through with relative impunity. So for the first time in the game, the Dwarf defensive box is finally starting to break apart. The Imperial forces led by the meme tanks and the Supreme Patriarch Balthazar Gelt are finally starting to crack that shell. And yeah, these Dwarf Warriors are holding pretty well, but these Spearmen really paying for themselves. So we break the Cannon crew, we break the Dwarf Warriors. The Iron Drakes are broken with 31 models, which is insane. Over here, I am getting roasted a little bit. So the Iron Drakes are returning some fire here on the Witch Hunter. There's so many Haggard units in this game. It's just out of control. But he does break this Witch Hunter. It looks like he's wavering. He's broken. So he's going to break off. But the other Witch Hunter in good shape. He does pop an accusation. He also takes a cannonball to the face. So probably the second one. But that hat must be providing him with some pretty sweet protection there. But the accusation might be able to take those guys out. The Reichsguard here riding the troops down. But at this point, it's pretty much over. The steam tank's going to be charging in the Silver Bullets. I have that Witch Hunter. The Dwarves don't really have much. They just have a couple Iron Breakers. I can easily just charge them into oblivion. And I have a full health group of Spearmen over there. So that's going to be it. My opponent's going to be bow out. So first, I'd like to apologize to my opponent. That was like such a memey trollish build. I know as the Dwarves that probably wouldn't be fun to play, but I just wanted to try out steam tanks in the matchup and kind of entertain you guys for one. But yeah, I mean, I guess it could be fun. He had ample answers to them. I mean, he did have the 3 cannons and everything, but he did bring Iron Drakes as well, which are kind of a fun unit. They're not that. I mean, I guess they could be okay in the Empire matchup if they're trying to swarm you with state troops and stuff. But yeah, Balthasar and the Witch Hunters did really well. The one steam tank went quietly into the good night, just blitzkrieged into enemy territory. I was trying to get it like a perch hidden in the forest, but it just didn't work out. The other one actually got a lot of kills. I wish I could have gotten a chance to try them in melee and see how effective they would have been. I think that would have been fun. So maybe I'll try that another game. But yeah, the Reichsguard obviously paid for themselves. They took a lot of damage, but they were able to cycle charge. And it was pretty fun doing the forest skirmish tactics with the Sterling's Revenge as well as the Free Company or the Silver Bullets. Just kind of hiding in the forest, rushing out, getting some gunshots. Very, very, very old school style of play there. So very well played to my opponent, Jay Roosh. Again, my apologies for the double steam tank. I know that's probably, well, I guess the steam tanks weren't the most annoying part of it. But again, my apologies. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Empire vs. Dwarf game. And guys, we will see you all next time. Take care.